Hey everybody, what's up? It's early morning, if you will. Actually Friday. It's my niece's 20th birthday, so I'm gonna go celebrate that with her during the day, nighttime. Basically, let's just say tomorrow. I mean, it's only like 1:45 in the morning. You might be asking, why am I still up? Well, I kind of took a nap in my family rec room a little bit, so that kind of helps out. Yeah, but I was actually trying to do this video surprisingly earlier today. It was actually around, actually, tried to do this like over 12 hours ago, about 13 so hours ago. I tried to do this. And I should have known better not to try to do it. I mean, I was sitting in the truck waiting for my mom to come out from getting her blood checked and everything, cholesterol situation, basically a situation where you gotta fast for about 12 hours before you get your blood shot and before you get your blood checked, and then you can go eat and all that. So I was just, like I said, I was just sitting there in the truck going to do this without the papers, give you the best information I could. And as I'm looking back and forth, and I'm just about to end it, but I'm still going. I'm still, on the video, still going. Out she comes. So I'm like, oh crap, gotta stop it. And I'm surprised she didn't really say anything, because I thought she may have noticed. But anyway, on to the video here at hand. And if this does stop, I do apologize. It's a 29-minute limit on HD videos. Doesn't mean I'm out of memory or anything. It just means I may have to split it into two parts. I apologize in advance. But there's two things, in case you don't know about this, and again, just like I was talking about in the original video that I had to delete, I will be posting the links down below for you guys to check it out yourself. But this is related both the Ken Penders in some way. The first one is entitled Penders Defense Team Ordered to Pay $13 million in Sanctions to Archie Comics. Now you might think to yourself, well, what does that mean? Well, here's the explanation. And again, in case you guys want to read this yourselves, the link will be provided below. But it says, one misstep, and this says it in bold. In matter of fact, let me try to put it up close so you can probably see it better. There you go. I know it's a little dark right now, so I apologize. But it says right there, in the bold right here, it says one misstep last year proves costly. And here's what it says. A magistrate judge of the U.S. District Court in the Southern District of New York has ordered Ken Penders and or his legal team to pay $13,082,000. Oh wait a minute. I think that's 13 million. Oh, it's 1,000. I can't really tell. Well, maybe it's 13,000. I don't know. Maybe it's 13,000. Because it would say M instead of K. So I don't really know, but it's big. Okay. Has ordered Ken Penders and or his legal team to pay $13,082. Or I don't know. Yeah, $13,082.25. If it's $13,082,000, it would be a little bit bigger, but it's actually $13,082.25 in attorney fees and expenses to Archie Comics, TSSZ has learned from public records. The award stems not from any ultimate decision made in Penders' ongoing case with Archie Comics regarding his copyrights, but rather a missed deadline that Archie Council picked up on. Penders' defense team failed to file a portion of the case's joint pretrial order on time. That violated a court order, and Archie's attorney sprung on it, asking the court to award damages. While a significant award, especially for Penders, who has seen his financial status questioned in said report, it's only a portion of what Archie demanded. More than $25,000 in attorney fees and expenses were originally sought. That number was in effect cut in half. Archie also sought to classify certain documents from the fling as inadmissible I can't really pronounce it, so I apologize. Inadmissible due to the delayed filing. Okay, wait a minute, hold on. Archie has sought to classify certain documents from the filing as inadmissible due to the delayed filing that was ultimately denied by the main judge overseeing the case. Okay. Trying to make sure I don't miss anything here. Okay. Payment is expected by next Monday, in other words, in 4 days. TSSZ has also learned both sides have been ordered by the court to attempt settlement negotiations. A final pretrial conference scheduled for September will now act as a status conference, with chances of holding the actual trial somewhat diminished again. Okay, with chances of holding the actual trial somewhat diminished again. That may not be great news for Penders, despite escaping summary judgment last month. Hopes his team can convince a jury he truly owns the right to his creations are now pressed to the back burner for a bit. But such negotiations failed at first. We will see how successful they are this time around. Okay, so in other words, what it was is that, according to the report, they had a deadline. I'm trying to find it here. Trying to find it. I saw him. Okay, I missed this part. This is my fault right here. This is my fault right here. It's right after I talk. This is a quote. This is actually a quote. I forgot to bring the quote in. And this is by. It was wrote by Judge Michael Dollinger in his decision. That's the judge's name, Michael Dollinger. He says, the basis that award was the fact the defendant and his counsel remained in extended and unexcused breach of the obligation to provide the entry of the portion of joint pretrial order, or the entry, or whatever, the entry or whatever it is called, the entirety of the portion of the joint pretrial order, Judge Michael Dollinger wrote in his decision. Now this is before the paragraph where I said a significant award. But again, you'll catch that when you click on the link and read it yourself. But again, basically what it was is that apparently due to the fact that they had been making up excuses and trying to extend, trying to get all these extensions and everything, they overlooked to make a payment that could have been a lot more than what it is right now. I mean, 13,825 cents isn't, nowadays, if you think about it, I can't really say it because I don't have that kind of money. But nowadays, from this kind of standpoint, from someone like a Pender standpoint or an Archie comic standpoint, that's nothing, really. But apparently, because Ken Penders wanted to extend his time, he forgot to, initially, he or his attorney, he and his team forgot to make that payment on time. So, it looks like, whatever he's trying to do is everything's starting to backfire on him. I mean, it looked like at first he was going to probably have some kind of win, some kind of victory, but it looks like now it may not happen. And quite frankly, he's got no one to blame but himself, if you think about it. I mean, he used to be one of the best Sonic comic book writers there was. Yeah, he had his ups and downs later on, there's no doubt about it. But apparently he's brought this all on himself just because he doesn't want to say, okay, Archie Comics, I get it. You want to use my characters, fine, I understand, go ahead. He should have just left it be. But now we're going to see what happens, and then with the order by the court for both sides, both Pender's side and the Archie side, to attempt settlement negotiations real soon, along with a final pre-trial conference scheduled for next month, which will now act as a status conference, with chances of holding the actual trial somewhat diminished again. It may not, I'm reading back from the final part of this article. That may not be great news for Penders, despite escaping summary judgment last month. Hopes his team can convince the jury he truly owns the right to his creations are now pressed to the back burner for a bit. But such negotiations failed at first. We will see how successful they are this time around. So in other words, basically they got to come to some kind of the pre-trial conference is now going to be a status conference to see if they can come up with some kind of settlement between both sides to be like, okay, like say both can agree and compromise and can be like, okay, yeah, sure, you can reference and use my creations, but in exchange, I need this. I want something in return, like maybe when you write it down, in the fine print in the comic says, such and such character, copyright Ken Penders. So. But speaking of copyright, and again, I checked my time here, because like I mentioned at the beginning, I have a 29-minute high-definition window opened. Let me get a little bit more of this drink. A little diluted, but still good. Alright, now this one is entitled, this is also out of TSSZ News, Update. Sega secures copyrights for several Archie Sonic comics. And it's... my bad. And it says it right there. I'm pretty sure you guys can see that from there. If not... And I'm sorry for the bad lighting. It's just, I got one bulb in and one bulb out, Maybe if I do this a little bit. Yeah, that helps out significantly a little bit more. There you go. See? Alright. Now, update. This is what it says. The beginning of an arms race in the Penders case. The beginning of an arms race in the Penders case. And actually has that in bold print down here. But yeah, here's what it says, and I quote this article. In finding out about Scott Shaw's copyright registrations yesterday, we found something else that's mighty intriguing. Sega themselves have begun securing copyrights to several Archie works and compilations. A search of the U.S. Copyright Office's databank reveals Sega holds formal registration to two recent compilations: the Archie Collection number 657B and Archie Collection 658B. Collection 657B covers Sonic 233, Super Sonic Special Magazine number 2, and Sonic Universe number 36. Collection number 658B covers Sonic Universe 37, the main series Sonic 234, and Sonic Universe graphic novel number 2. Both registrations were formalized this year. In addition, Sega has secured copyrights to nearly the entire individual issues of the Knuckles comic series. Though the series was first published in 1997, rights to issues 4 through 32 were only secured last month, according to public records. 3 more Sega registrations to the comics formalized in 2011 cover main issues 228 through 230, and the cover variants. Sonic Universe number 31 to 33, Sonic Universe graphic novel, Sonic Universe graphic novel number 1, Knuckles Archives number 1, and 2 other Sonic comic specials published that year. All registration descriptions note the rights to print material were transferred by written agreement from Archie Comics. Archie is listed as an employee for hire in many of these listings. For recent issues, entries claim authorship to both art and text. In the case of the Knuckles series, the authorship claim is to contributions to a collective work. Much of the material Sega and Archie protected, the Knuckles Archives and the Sonic Super Special magazines in particular, include stories written and drawn by Ken Penders, who's in the middle of a silver case with, who's in the middle of a civil case with Archie Comics over who owns the rights to work he produced for the series and later copyrighted. You may also remember that Penders filed suit against both Sega and Electronic Arts with those copyrights in tow over storylines used in Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, eerily similar to Penders' own work. That case is, at last check, in appeal. The swath of registrations is the first time Sega has secured copyright protection for the Archie comics in over a decade. Should Penders' own case with Sega be elevated, or some judgment in the Archie is awarded in Penders' favor, these copyrights could come in handy if they don't clash with Penders' own registrations. The bottom line: if Penders prevails in the Archie case, in whole or in part, it likely does not mean his legal travels are over. And then it says with the high, and kind of like, in undertone, it says, the story has been edited and updated to reflect the date of actual registrations for the Knuckles comics as this year, and not in the 1990s as originally reported. TSSC regrets the error. So basically what that means is any of the stories, or anything that involves the archives, the collections and all that, and again you'll be able to read this for yourself when I provide the link. Basically Sega has secured rights to a lot of stuff now, so that even stuff, archive stuff, that has Pender's work in it. So basically what they're saying is that with Sega doing this, you think Ken Pender's problems right now with paying over $13,000, he and his team paying over $13,000 could be bad. They're basically stating that, hey, if Penders finds a way to win this case, Ace, over Archie Comics, he may still be in another court battle with Sega, because now Sega will come out and say, look, we have the rights too through the archives. We have rights through the archives. We have rights to several of the issues recently and even in the past. So what are you going to do about that? So basically what they're saying here is Ken Penders may still be in for a battle if he wins. But right now it doesn't look so good. But again, looks can be deceiving. So that's what's going on there. One last thing too. I found out when I went to the Bumble King forums that apparently the news of the Mecha Sally story arc coming to an end in 241 may be false. According to Ian Flynn and Paul Kaminsky, 241 has to deal with a turning point in a subplot. It has to do with the turning point in one of the subplots. According to Ian, it has to do with the turning point in the Nagas subplot. But then again, we don't know. Ian may be saying that to throw people off, but we can't really say. Ian and Paul have come out and said, hey, I don't know what people basically gotten this idea. Others at the forum have said that too. Well, Ian, if you're watching, or Paul, if you're watching, I think you may have to recall San Diego Comic-Con, because that's what people said they heard it. I mean, Ian Flynn said it best himself. Why would he want to give away anything for give away anything of one of the more interesting plots they got going right now, or story arcs they got going right now? We also found out, according to one member on the forum, that according to Ian Flynn, the Mega Man crossover, one portion of it, the first four issues of it, will begin in 248 and conclude in 251 of the Sonic Man comic books. So that's the news from there. But again, I will provide the links to the two TSSZ reports down below in case you want to read them yourself. So thank you all for watching, tuning in, comment, video response down below. Sorry this video was long, and peace out.